Over the past few decades, the invasive and pernicious weed has been choking Nigeria's waterways and lagoons.
South Africa's lakes were being suffocated by a green carpet of weeds that seemed impossible to stop, and it was a total disaster for the local fish and plants. This invader was so strong that it could block out the sun and turn a healthy lake into a stagnant pond in just a few months.
The South American native thrives in a temperate climate and is threatening to take over some parts of NZ.
Experts tried using heavy machines and chemicals, but here is the catch: those things were making the water even worse. Then, out of nowhere, a tiny beetle the size of a pea changed everything and saved the water from a certain end. Nature turning into a graveyard. Massive lakes in South Africa were turning into green parking lots because of a plant that just would not stop growing. This invader was stealing all the air from the water and leaving fish with nowhere to go. People tried everything to stop it, but nothing worked until they found a tiny bug. This beetle is only about the size of a pea, yet it managed to do what millions of dollars in chemicals could not do. It sounds like a fairy tale, but the way this small insect took down a giant problem is actually pretty wild. This is a key detail because these lakes are the lifeblood of the entire region. Without them, the local people and the animals have a really hard time getting by. For years, the water was so covered in plants that you could almost walk across it without getting your feet wet. This was not just a small mess, it was a full-blown ecological crisis that was spreading like wildfire. The main culprit was a plant called the water hyacinth, along with its cousin, the red water fern. These plants are not from South Africa, and that is where the trouble really started. Basically, they were brought over from the Americas by mistake or through people who wanted them for their gardens. Once they hit the local waters, they realized they had no natural enemies to stop them. In their home countries, there are bugs and animals that eat them, but in South Africa, they were free to grow as much as they wanted. And boy, did they grow. A single plant can double in size in just a few days if the conditions are right. Before anyone knew it, hundreds of acres of water were completely hidden under a thick green layer. This is where things started to get really scary for the local environment. When these weeds cover the surface, they act like a lid on a pot. They stop the sun from reaching the native plants that live underwater. Those plants need sunlight to make oxygen, and without it, they start to rot. As they rot, they use up even more oxygen, leaving the fish gasping for air. It was a cycle of death that was happening in slow motion across some of the most beautiful parts of the country. Many people are not seeing the truth here, which is that the water itself was becoming toxic. The dead plants would sink to the bottom and create a thick layer of muck that ruined the habitat for everything else. It was not long before the lake started to smell like rotten eggs because of all the decay. The impact on humans was just as bad as the impact on the fish. Fishermen could no longer put their boats in the water because the weeds would tangle up in the motors and stop them cold. Villages that relied on the lakes for drinking water were finding that the water tasted bad and was full of bacteria. Even the big dams that produce power were having trouble because the weeds would clog up the pipes and machinery. It was costing the government millions of dollars every single year just to try and keep the water clear for a few weeks at a time. But then everything changed when scientists decided to look for a more natural way to fight back. One of the most overlooked aspects of this story is how desperate the situation actually was. People were using giant harvesters to scoop the weeds out of the water, but it was like trying to empty the ocean with a spoon. For every ton of weeds they took out, 2 more tons would grow back the next day. It was a losing battle, and the environment was paying the price. But there was a catch they did not see coming. The more they fought the weeds with machines, the more the weeds seemed to thrive in the disturbed water. They needed something that could work around the clock without needing a lunch break or a paycheck. That is when the researchers started looking into the idea of biological control. Wait, it gets better when you realize that the answer was found in the very place the weeds came from. Scientists traveled all the way to South America to see what kept these plants in check over there. They spent years studying different insects to see which ones only ate the invasive weeds and nothing else.
Like insects in South America, where it comes from. there's a predator-prey relationship. So the predator will keep in balance. So now there's no predators. That's why one of the control measures is to try to import weevils or some special insects that feed on it in natural habitats.
They had to be very careful because they did not want to introduce a new bug that would start eating the local farmers' crops. After a lot of testing, they found a few tiny heroes that were ready for the job. One of them was a little beetle that most people would mistake for a piece of dirt. Little did they know that this tiny creature was about to become the most important animal in the country. There are still many rumors in the air about how these bugs were released, but the facts are even more interesting. The scientists did not just throw them in and hope for the best. They carefully raised thousands of them in labs to make sure they were healthy and strong. When they were finally ready, they took them to the most choked-up lakes and let them go. It was a quiet moment that nobody really celebrated at the time. But beneath the surface of those green leaves, a tiny war was about to begin. The beetles started eating, and they did not stop until the green carpet started to tear apart. But there is a massive caveat to this success story that we need to talk about before moving on. Harsh lessons from failed wars. For starters, we have to look at what happened before the beetles arrived. A lot of people are confused about why it took so long to find a solution that actually worked. For decades, the main way to deal with the weeds was to spray them with heavy chemicals. These were strong poisons meant to make the plants wither and die as fast as possible. At first, it looked like it was working. The green leaves would turn brown and sink, and for a few days, the water would look clear again. But the real kicker is that the chemicals were actually setting the stage for a much bigger disaster. When those thousands of tons of weeds sank to the bottom, they released all their nutrients back into the water at once. This was like giving a massive dose of plant food to the seeds that were still hiding in the mud. Instead of staying away, the weeds would come back even thicker and faster than before. It was a cycle that the government was stuck in for a long time. They would spray, the water would clear, the plants would rot, and then a new forest of weeds would explode across the surface. Not only that, but the chemicals were not exactly great for the fish or the people who had to drink the water. It was a messy and expensive way to manage a problem that was only getting worse. Hands down, it was one of the biggest mistakes in the history of local water management. Another problem was the physical removal of the plants. Imagine trying to clear a lake that is over 10,000 acres in size by hand. People were hired to pull the weeds out, and giant machines were brought in to grind them up. But here is the part that everyone misses. The water hyacinth is a very clever plant. If you break off even a small piece of it, that piece can grow into a whole new plant in a matter of days. So, while the machines were cutting the weeds, they were actually helping them spread by creating thousands of tiny new starters. It was like trying to stop a fire by throwing small pieces of burning wood into new areas. The cost of these failed methods was astronomical. We are talking about millions of dollars every year that could have been spent on schools or hospitals. Instead, it was being poured into the water with almost nothing to show for it. Everyone was obsessed with a quick fix, but the quick fixes were just making the problem more permanent. The lakes were still suffocating and the biodiversity was still dropping. In some places, the water was so bad that even the birds stopped coming by because there were no fish left to eat. It felt like the country was watching its natural beauty disappear right before its eyes. Nobody expected this to happen, but the failure of these traditional methods is what finally forced the experts to think outside the box. They realized that they could not outrun or outspin the plants. They had to outsmart them. That meant finding a way to make the environment hostile to the weeds without hurting the water. It was a tall order, but the scientists at places like Rhodes University were up for the challenge. They knew that in nature, every plant has something that eats it. They just had to find the right match for the South African environment. This led them back to the tiny beetle that was waiting for its chance to shine. So, here is the deal with why the beetle was such a better choice. Unlike a machine, a beetle can fly and crawl into every tiny corner of a lake. It does not need fuel, and it does not make the water toxic. It just does one thing. It eats the weed. And get this, the more weeds there are, the more the beetles reproduce. It is a self-regulating system that grows with the problem. But before they could let the beetles loose, they had to prove to everyone that the bugs would not become an even bigger problem. There were many stories of people introducing animals to solve one issue, only to have the animals start eating everything else in sight. That was the moment everything shifted in the research labs. The scientists spent years putting the beetles in cages with local plants to see if they would eat them. They tried giving them corn, wheat, and even local flowers. The beetles refused to eat anything but the invasive weeds. They would literally starve to death before taking a single bite of a South African plant. This was the proof the government needed to finally give the green light. The stage was set for the tiny heroes to enter the battlefield and start the real work of saving the lakes. The plot took a major turn when the first bucket of beetles was finally poured onto the leaves. Miniature hero taking command. The real shocker was how fast the beetles started to work once they were in the wild. We are talking about a tiny insect called the Azala weevil. It is only about 2 millimeters long, which is roughly the size of a single grain of coarse sand. But do not let its size fool you. This bug is a lean, mean, weed-eating machine. When it was released onto the red water fern, it did not just eat the leaves. The mother beetles would lay their eggs inside the plant, and the babies would eat their way out from the inside. This is a key detail because it destroyed the plant's ability to float. Once the plant lost its air pockets, it would sink to the bottom and die. Within just a few years of the first release, the results were absolutely staggering. In places where the water fern had covered every single inch of the surface, the water was suddenly clear. It was like someone had pulled back a heavy green curtain to reveal the blue water underneath for the first time in decades. The crazy part is that the beetles worked so well that the red water fern is now almost impossible to find in many parts of South Africa. The tiny bug had done what 30 years of chemicals could not do. It had completely wiped out the invader and restored the balance of the ecosystem. This was a massive win for science and for the environment. Does this story change how you look at the tiny bugs in your own backyard? Let us know in the comments because we love hearing your thoughts on these mysteries. If you enjoyed this tale of the tiny heroes of South Africa, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the weird and wonderful world of science.